Hello and welcome to Chapter 3 from the recent trip to Germany. Today, going to talk about some castle ruins, going to talk about some war memorials, monastery, and some historical places. This particular one is Castle Donaustoff. It was the closest to us, about a 20 to 25 minute drive. You can see it's on the Danube River Valley. And on the high side of the hill, there's another monument that we'll cover here shortly. But this particular castle dates back to Roman times. The Romans had it, and then it was vacant for a while. The Bavarians took it over. It warded off, incursions from, I believe, the Hungarians back in like 912 A.D. And when you're walking through, you get a sense of, a fortress, of a military stronghold type thing, and stand in awe because they built it brick by brick on the top of a mountain, basically, for lack of a better term. It's not really just a tourist attraction. There's no price to get in. You can just park and walk up to it. It's not like a park or nothing, but it's just there. Had free roam, free access of the place. We went there like day 2. This was one of the first places we went, and it was very close to where we were staying with James. On the right, you can see the room where the drawbridge would be. Big holes in the wall where the chains would have been. And then, just sits on top of a hilltop, and you've got just view for days. Landon really, really liked this place. Just really cool to be in that old-timey feel. You really get a sense of what they saw back then. This next place up on the hill to the left there is Castle Falkenstein. Same relative vicinity with another probably half-hour drive to get to this place. Still in Bavaria, still, very old-timey. Place is 1,000+ years old. It's still functional as a modern-day hotel and restaurant, high-end type thing where they'll do weddings and big birthday parties for, businessmen type people with a little bit of money to spend. But you can tour it. You can go up to that big tower. Our group went up there. I have a very, very crippling fear of heights, and had a little bit of an episode up there, but it was worth it. When you get inside, there's no real glass. I mean, the wind blows through those windows at 50 miles an hour, and you get up top, there's the railing, and that's pretty much it. You're looking down at the rest of the castle from that platform up there, with really thin, crazy, old-school stairs. I actually had about this point right here, I couldn't take it anymore, so I turned around and headed for the hills, headed on back down. And thankfully, Simone was there to help Landon when he took a little spill, because he could have gone a long way down. But they made it down to the little restaurant, had hot chocolate overlooking this view here off the terrace, basically, down over the valley. This building is very near Castle Donaustoff. This is the Valhalla. It's a German Hall of Heroes, full of cement and busts and things, built on the hill's top above the river. Danube again. Lots of busts of ancient German heroes. You're not supposed to take pictures in there, but I snuck a couple. We didn't pay to actually go in and look around, but got pictures from the door. But that's a beautiful place, quick to go to, really close to where we stayed. This day was a different day. We drove to a place called Kelheim. Kelheim had a couple of big ticket items to check off and see. The Hall of Liberation was really cool, and Vultanburg is a monastery dating back to like the 1300s. That's a brewery. Sits right down on the river, but we'll start with the Hall of Liberation. This building, if my understanding is correct, was built to celebrate Napoleon's occupation coming to an end. I don't recall any sort of military conflict to, make that happen. I think it just kind of ended. And he moved out, so they ordered that this monument be built. It's a symbol of freedom. It's over the Danube River Valley in Kelheim. You're looking down, just beautiful, long distance, gorgeous, amazing scenery. Inside the building, circular building, you'll notice the angels are all holding hands, and they've all got shields. It's a show of like solidarity with all the German people. They're on the plaques above it. It's all like, there's a Regensburg one, Munich one, Leipzig, and all that. Every other city in Germany, basically. The structure up there is called the Oculus. It's a glass pier to the heaven, so to speak. Gorgeous. Echo inside this place was crazy. Landon liked singing and bouncing his voice around. It did have a couple of staircases you could climb that were like iron circular deals, and that took you up to the upper floors. You can see kind of the second floor there with the stairwell from there on the outside of the building going up. I did not go up there. I'm chicken. Landon wanted to, but I didn't allow it. But Tessa's dad, Kevin, went up there, and he got some pictures, but he said that it was definitely, exhilarating out on that ledge. Is term I think he would have used. But yeah, 168 steps to the top, and Kevin made them all. I made about 100 and probably 30 of them to that second ledge that you're seeing now. It's looking down. I had a hard time even looking down from that high, because at this high you're still probably 4 or 5 stories up. And yeah, it was just a very big, massive, immaculate, detailed room that took 150 years to complete, over a couple of generations, and our original architect passing and some changes to the plan. But very cool, very ornate, gorgeous historical building way up on top of a mountain overlooking the valley. Unbelievable, just the detail, really. And it overlooks the valley that just goes on for miles and miles. Beautiful. This is Vultanburg. This is a 13th century monastery turned into a brewery in the 1800s, and their brand of beer is like one of the most recognizable in the Bavarian area. See it at all the grocery stores. It's on menus and stuff. So it's crazy because it's still a monastery, and they're still, they still serve that whole thing. But there's a restaurant here. There's commerce here. There's a gift shop. There's summertime. They do festivals in this great big open courtyard. But it sits right on the Danube, right low river valley, and really gorgeous kind of country. What you're seeing behind us is the river, the main entrance. Kind of in a courtyard area. The building to the right there is shops, and there's awnings they'll pull out in the summer so you can sit underneath of them. In the distance, there's the chapel. That's where the actual services take place. We'll get in there in a minute. I wasn't supposed to take any pictures, but I got a few. Actually prayed about it and asked forgiveness. It's the gift shop in the upper right, and you'll just notice that it's very, per German standard to the trip so far, a lot of religious symbology, a lot of crucifixes, and a lot of, just this sort of imagery everywhere. And this particular gift shop was full of very, very decorative, very deep, detailed crucifixes and religious symbology. Manger in the courtyard, or there to your left. Just kind of a quiet place, kind of a still place, just not a lot of hustle bustle. We were there the last day before everybody took off for their Christmas sabbaticals. This was taken inside the restaurant there. You can see the ale there on the upper right. Went down just like that quite a bit, but this was their brand, their Christmas ale. Really pretty tasty. And that was a good afternoon. And this is the stuff I wasn't supposed to be shooting, but this is their sanctuary. Probably the most impressive thing I saw the entire time I was there. Gold, hammered bronze, just unbelievable. Words, I'm stuttering for words right now, just remembering it. Marble columns, marble statues, just unbelievable. And again, I prayed and asked forgiveness for my transgression against the no recording sign. But that's Vultanburg. That's on the Danube here. Landon and I actually went down and threw some rocks in. Tried to skip a couple, but I had a hard time doing that with a camera in my hand. But as you can see, in the hilltop, way up on the hilltop, right there is the Hall of Liberation. You can just see it on top of that hill. So in relation to where we were earlier, this sits down at the bottom. You can see this place from a lookout point up on the hill at the Liberation Hall. And it feels serene. It's really quiet, really calm. The river wasn't rushing in any way. We were just kind of taking it all in. Very little traffic. There is a small village somewhat in the opposite direction the camera's facing right now. But quiet, not a whole lot of hustle bustle. And, in the summertime, this place gets pretty busy as a beer hall, beer garden, basically. One of the most recognizable brands of beer. There is a museum on site. We did not get down there, but I did some looking on YouTube and kind of wish we would have. There's a lot of old historical, stuff that was old clergy had, shoes and stuff like that. Really, really old, really, really ancient type stuff, which a lot of this whole trip was very old and very, really this type of feel. And this particular chapter covers a lot of really, really cool stuff that we saw. The castles. I could have gone and done this every single day. Just seeking out a different historical spot. And we even went to the Bavarian Museum, and they had a miniature of kind of Bavaria, and they had this place on it. If you haven't already, go ahead and like the video, share the video. Trying to finish off the Germany trip here with maybe one or two more chapters. I've got one for Landon done, but we got to do a voiceover for it yet. Maybe that'll be up tomorrow. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't. And then I'm going to do a quick little preview of next episode. Kind of see what this next chapter will be. Yeah. It was cool to skip stones in the Danube with my kid. That's going to be something I'll remember for the rest of my life. Something cool that I can say we did. Really, really, really cool place. Quiet and serene. So yeah, next chapter. Next episode we're going to call The Day After Christmas. We got the boys a Christmas gift of indoor skydiving in the wind tunnels. And the day after Christmas, we all packed into the vehicles and headed down to Munich, where this place was. It was the first thing we did in the morning. Levy, Jacob, Landon all got it. Did that first thing in the morning, and then we went into Munich downtown on the Marienplatz and went to the Glockenspiel and ended the day in town south of there called Tegernsee. Beautiful Bavarian Alps town. So the next chapter will cover some of that. As usual, thank you for watching if you're still with me. And we'll be wrapping this up in the next 2 or 3 episodes. Good night.